Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
You added into your car's MagRav unit, and you said, I get a better drive. This is my car with its wheels. And I get more mileage. You put a battery in the car, you have your electric motor, whatever goes with it. And what happened when you made these connections? You connected one side of the battery to the one point of the body and the other one to the body of the body. That's what mainly done. But it's the same story now, you understand, as I explained a few minutes ago. You created this plasmatic field. In a way, your reduction in the consumption of the fuel, I used to drive 200 kilometers per tank, now I do 400. They laugh at you, but why? Because here I weighted 1 ton, and here I weigh 500. Because this magnetic field which I created is the same principle as we just shown you in the house. When you plug into the plugs or plug into the light at the same time, but because this is a confined environment, your steering became much easier. How many of you reported the steering was easy? It became much smoother. Even my car is 20 years old. I'm using less plasma, or less fuel. And then everything else you reported. You created a gravitational magnetic field flying machine, but limited flight capability. How many of you reported in your testimonials, if the car was rusty, the rust disappeared, the car this and that happened to it? Because now you're in the MagRav, the same as you had a cancer, you don't have a cancer anymore. So now, you understand?
Yeah.
You put this in your tractor, what happens? You create environments, you can carry 10 ton, now you carry weight of 5 ton.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it does. That's all it'll be. You have to realize one thing, and I keep on explaining. I come from a nuclear industry. But in my business life, I come from the oil industry as well. My education and my business life tells me something very, very serious. You go and make this to zero, you're not a hero. You'll be zero. They eliminate you. Oil industry, oil cartel is very heavy. And I'm very much aware of this problem. How many scientists have come up with a solution that you don't need oil, and how many of them are alive today? Zero. You have to understand, I spent 20 years in a big industrial oil structure, and I know what it means, and I know the danger of it. This way, we give a breathing time. You break this law, you're done with. Introducing a technology in a slow pace, you will see it. 85 million barrels of oil a day at $100. I have to put 6 more. Thus, the capital is created every day without evolution in fuel and other products. This cartel is too strong to fight with. But this cartel is the soul of the guy who digs these out. It's much more powerful, but it has to be done the subtle way. The way we've gone for past 20 years is the only way to handle. King of Belgium went for our throat to kill Pablo. They tried to kill me in 6 assassinations. So what? Because the money in it is too big and implications of it is too big. Has to be done the way we've done, slow pace, everybody gets involved. The kings die of illness, so the presidents, so the layman on the street, so the farmer. And they all are prepared to give the kingdom and the crown and the life to live one day longer. One day without pain of cancer and everything else. And this technology gives them all, and they have to accept it as totality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 76th public meeting for testimonials here on Monday, March 13th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host today, and got a couple of co-hosts with Jacko and Andreas. Thank you, guys. And I think we're ready to dive into today's workshop. And we're going to start off our testimonials today by going out into the farm and seeing what plasma technology can do for the farming environment, specifically with a cow farm that Gianni has been working with. Now, Gianni, are you ready to do your presentation there?
Yes, Rick, I'm ready.
Okay.
Horatio, please help me.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Salut, sunt Gianni din România.
Hello, I'm Johnny from Romania.
Sunt unul dintre coordonatorii echipei plasmatice din România.
I'm one of coordinators of the plasmatic team from Romania.
Suntem o comunitate răspândită pe toată România, pe suprafața României.
We are a community spread all over Romania.
Horatio este un alt coordonator a acestei comunități.
Horatio is another coordinator of this community.
Aplicăm tehnologia plasmatică, tehnologia Keshe de 5 ani.
We apply the technology about 5 years.
Am aplicat-o în tot și toate.
We apply it in everything and everything that we work to.
În agricultură, pentru albine, pentru plante, pentru căprițe, pentru văcuțe.
In agriculture, for plants, for animals.
Și am obținut rezultate magnifice.
And we obtain magnificent results.
Astăzi vom prezenta rezultatele venite de la ferma cu care colaborăm de 6 luni.
Today we will present you the results from the farm that we are working with for the last 6 months.
Și pentru aceasta am nevoie de share screen.
And for this, may I please share screen?
Așa, am deschis ca să putem începe.
So that we can start.
În luna decembrie, anul trecut, la 3 luni de la începerea proiectului, am făcut o prezentare în testimoniale despre situația cu ferma.
Last year, in December, I made a presentation with this farm at the beginning.
Am arătat cum, pornind de la bobinele pe care le știm, toroidale, am obținut cele 4 gansuri la fermă.
We show how we obtain the gases with the toroidal coils.
Iar aceste gansuri, în prima fază, le-am introdus în fântâna de unde este alimentată ferma.
And at first, these gases would pour inside the fountain where all the animals drink the water from.
Am folosit un amestec din cele 4 gansuri de bază, 1 litru pe care l-am turnat în fântână.
I use a combination from the 4 basis gases, 1 liter with the combination in the fountain, in the well.
Apoi am adăugat o altă cantitate de CO2-ZNO, cu tot cu aminoacid, clar.
And then, after that, we pour some CO2 and ZNO.
Iar rezultatele au apărut începând cu ziua 3-a.
And the results came with day 3.
Când văcuțele care aveau probleme digestive și-au revenit,
The cows that have digestive problems, they were well again.
și toate văcuțele au început să dăruiască cu 2 litri de lapte în plus.
And the cows gave with 2 liters of milk more, each one of them.
Iar cam după aproximativ o lună, când s-au luat probele de laborator, a ieșit laptele cel mai concentrat din zonă, cel mai original.
And after they made the test of the milk, this milk got the highest grades from all the farmers around this place.
Acum, după cum am prezentat și locul unde se prepară brânza, laptele. Am pulverizat și aici toate utilajele.
And this is the place where the milk is prepared, and we pulverize all the equipment.
Am gustat laptele și înainte de a începe treaba cu plasma și după, iar gustul este excelent.
I tasted the milk before and after using the plasma, and the taste was a big difference. Very, very good.
Cu brânza de la fermă am făcut o soluție salină în care am folosit gansul de CO2, plasma de CO2 și ZNO, doar partea de lichid, de soluție salină și aminoacid.
This is how we prepare the milk products, and by using plasma from CO2 and ZNO, and just pouring the top of the gas where the plasma is still salty, and the gases remain on the bottom.
Noi am făcut o salinitate mai mică deoarece așa ne place, dar pentru păstrare, pentru timp îndelungat, în mod tradițional se merge cam cu 18-20%.
Here we made small salinity, 9% of salinity, but if you want to keep it for a longer time, you can use 80% salinity.
În cazul în care folosim plasma, nu mai este necesar acest lucru pentru că brânza se păstrează foarte bine, chiar dacă nu este ținută în zone reci.
In the case when you use the plasma, this product is maintained very okay, even if it doesn't put it into cold places, so it could be storage. So it's very okay.
Chiar mai mult decât atât, am reușit să uscăm brânza la temperatura camerei pentru că nu am mai intrat în procesul de desfacere, de structurare.
And we could we can even take the product out and deshydrate them so that all the products can be used at dry, you know.
Acum câteva zile, acum 3 zile, am fost din nou la fermă după 6 luni.
So 3 days ago, we went to the farm after 6 months.
Și am găsit aceleași văcuțe fericite.
And we found the same happy cows.
Dar în special rezultatele magnifice care s-au medit în timp de aceste 6 luni, dorim să le împărtășim cu toată planeta.
And especially the results that maintain all of these 6 months, we wish to share with all the planet and with you, of course.
Văcuțele la ora actuală mănâncă jumătate din cantitatea de nutrienți care o mâncau înainte de aplicarea tehnologiei.
The cows give half of the meal that used to eat before the plasma science application.
Ceea ce este remarcabil, mai ales că experimentul l-am făcut pe această perioadă de iarnă, când în mod obișnuit văcuțele dau mai puțin lapte.
What is remarkable is that we made these experiments in the winter time when the milk should be less because it's cold outside.
Aici, din contră, nu a mai fost o problemă de scădere, ci din contră, această creștere cu 2 litri și jumătate s-a menținut.
In this case, by using the plasma, the quality of the milk and the quantity has been maintained after the 6 months of winter.
Și s-a ajuns până la a obține 11 kg și jumătate de brânză din 50 de litri de lapte.
And we obtain from 50 liters of milk around about 12 kilograms of products of milk.
Față de 7-8 cât obțineau înainte.
Differently, why before using the plasma they obtain 7 and 8 kilo by 50 liters of milk.
Clar, am luat iarăși brânză de la fermă și am făcut aceeași soluție de plasmă, CO2-ZNO cu tot cu aminoacid, și am pus din nou brânza la saramură.
And they give us some products and we plasmatize them, like we said before, with CO2 and ZNO, plasma water.
Aici, asta chiar astăzi am făcut-o împreună cu Horațiu și Ștefan și Adriana.
This is made today with Horațiu and Ștefan and Adriana.
Și chiar dacă au trecut 2 zile din momentul când am luat-o de la fermă, chiar fără soluție salină, s-a păstrat excelent.
Even though they took 2 days, its look is very nice and smells very good and is conserved very good.
Clar, la ce mai trebuie adăugat aici, nu trebuie, este pulverizat tot așa cu plasmă CO2-ZNO.
And I have to add that the food is pulverized with CO2 and ZNO, all the food that the cows have.
Aici am făcut același lucru, deci am folosit apă plasmatică de CO2-ZNO, la care am adăugat plasmă cu salinitate de 9%, cu tot cu aminacid, pentru a face soluția noastră de 3,5-4%.
And here we used plasma water from the reactors with 9% salinity, and then we add some plasmatic water so that we can obtain the 3% of salinity that we want.
Este minunat când putem să facem aceste produse cu plasmă, mai ales pentru faptul că nu mai necesită locuri speciale pentru păstrare.
It's wonderful when we make these products with plasma because it's not necessary for special environment, so you can deposit it.
Personal, așa ca și experiență, este de ajuns să mănânc 2-3 bucățele de brânză și efectiv mă satur pentru că este extrem de consistentă, magnifică.
For me, it suffices to eat small bits of this cheese because it's very consistent and it's it's enough for me. Small bits.
Pentru tine, Horatiu?
Johnny asked me too. Yes, this is a very, very intense taste of milk, and it's the taste is very, very rich and very nice, very nice. I like it very much. It reminds me when my grandparents used to make it when I was a little boy. Ziceam că mi-am amintit de când făcea și bunica când eram mic.
Am înțeles și avem și experimente făcute în agricultură care sunt în derulare și în lunile care urmează venim și cu aceste rezultate magnifice.
And we have experiments that we have made in agriculture, and we will come back with the results soon.
Și ne bucurăm rezultatele.
And we are very happy with the results.
Și mai ales ne bucurăm și mulțumim lui Ionel, care este de acord să stea de vorbă cu toți cei care doresc despre experimentul făcut.
And we are very happy because Jonel, the farmer, is open to talk with anyone that wants to have some questions and wants to know how he did it.
Și la fel este dispus, are ferma deschisă pentru cei care să meargă, care vor să meargă în vizită și să vadă la fața locului.
And the same, the farm is open for visiting, so the people can see for themselves.
Și clar să facă teste măsurători și să și deguste produsele magnifice.
And of course, to make tests and measurements and to taste the products, of course.
Urmează să aplicăm și faza următoare, faza 2, în care începem să adăugăm și CH3.
The second phase is when we add the CH3.
Și clar poziționarea în hala unde sunt, în grajdul unde sunt băcuțele, a unor formațiuni stelare.
And by positioning inside the shed where the cows are sitting, some tails formation.
Și mă bucur de asemenea pentru faptul că de anul acesta văcuțele vor mânca o mâncare integral plasmatizată.
And I'm happy because from this year the cows will eat the plasmatic food and hay that was prepared for them.
Deoarece Ionel a renunțat la folosirea chimicalelor pentru producerea nutrețurilor.
Because Jonel has given up using chemicals to produce the food for the cows.
Și ceea ce a însămânțat, orzul și celelalte, semințele au fost plasmatizate, iar pe câmp s-a pulverizat cu plasmă și nanoplante.
All the seeds were plasmatized, and of course the fields were pulverized with plasma water and gases and amino acids.
Și clar începe campania agricolă și vom continua iară cu însămânțarea câtorva zeci de hectare de semințe plasmatice.
And of course the new agriculture campaign is starting now, and new seeds will be plasmatized and put in the field.
Mulțumim domnului Keshe pentru dăruirea acestei tehnologii, mulțumim tuturor căutătorilor de cunoștințe care împărtășesc rezultatele.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for the gift that you give us with this technology and all the knowledge seekers.
Mulțumim tuturor proiectelor magnifice care sunt dispuse să colaboreze cu noi pentru a împărtăși aceste rezultate.
And thank you all the beautiful souls that are working with us and share their experience.
Și stăm la dispoziția tuturor celor care vor să afle detalii despre tot ceea ce facem.
And we want to share with everybody who wants to know the details of how we are doing it.
Colaborarea noastră este liberă, nu percepem, nu cerem nicio taxă pentru că plasma este liberă.
Our collaboration is free. We don't have any taxes because plasma is free.
Și împărtășind liber, cum a spus domnul Keshe, am depășit granițele țărilor și suntem o rasă, o națiune, o planetă. Thank you.
And like Mr. Keshe said, by freely spreading the knowledge, we are becoming one nation, one planet. And thank you.
Johnny, could you keep the movie going for a minute there? I have a couple of questions.
Horatiu?
Da.
Scuze, n-am auzit ce a zis Rick.
Să lași filmul să meargă un pic, care câteva întrebări.
Ah, ok.
Okay. Thank you, Johnny. So we see in the video here, and you've shown that you use the CO2 and ZnNO GANS water. Now, tell me, you mentioned something about the salt concentrations, but I wasn't clear on how you use the GANS water, and what is the water that you're pouring in from the big jug? Is that GANS water as well? So tell me a little more about the salt in the GANS water and the water that's in the big jug.
So, may I? Johnny, poți să spun eu?
Da, am înțeles ceea ce a spus, dar te rog să spui și în română ca să fie și pentru cei din limba română.
Rick are câteva întrebări în legătură cu salinitatea și în legătură cu apa care este pusă din damigeana.
Ok, te rog spune tu și dacă este cazul mai continui și eu.
Okay. We use the plasma water from the reactor that is 9% salt. Only the top's water that is without the gas, and of course with an amino acid. And then from the container, there we have plasmatic water that is plasmatized with the. You can see now when I pour the water, it's coming out the gases.
Okay.
This is the water that we use for drinking and cooking and everything else, you know.
Okay,
so this is top water, so we can obtain the 3% salinity.
I see. Okay.
Okay,
Johnny.
Da, ce vreau să mai adaug aici.
I want to add something.
Pentru cei care doresc o salinitate mai mare, poate să mai adauge la salinitate de 9% din reactor.
For those who want to have a bigger salinity, they can add some plasma water from the reactor.
În România, în majoritatea zonelor, se folosește o concentrație de 20%.
In Romania, usually for these cow products, we use 20% salinity.
La proba practică, noi am folosit o salinitate de 4,5%, însemnând cu plasma, cum ați văzut, și a rezistat mai bine și mai mult decât
Hello?
Okay. So by using the 4.5% salinity with plasma water, we can obtain the same results of maintaining the product a longer time without using 20% salinity for conservation.
lăsată pe farfurie pe masă, în aceeași încăpere, cea cu 20% salinitate a intrat în descompunere după 4 zile.
If you leave it on the table, on the plate, the one with 20% salinity it started to decompose in 4 days.
Cea cu 4,5, cum am spus, s-a și uscat pe farfurie.
And the one with 4% plasma water salinity, the decomposition does not appear. Even more, the product starts to dry.
Magnific ce s-a întâmplat.
Magnificent.
Thank you, Rick.
Interesting. Thanks, Gianni. Okay, does anybody else have any questions about that process or for Gianni? Gianni, do the cows, do they get any antibiotics? Do they need to by law or anything like that?
No, Rick. Întrebarea lui Rick a fost dacă văcuțele au avut nevoie de antibiotice. Nu. Horatio?
Okay.
Yeah, no.
No antibiotics, I got that.
No antibiotics. The idea was that before using the plasma, the cows were a little bit with problems. So after we used the plasma, the problems went away and the cows were very okay. So no antibiotics since then, since 6 months ago.
Okay, so they did have antibiotics before that to try to deal with their situation, I guess.
Yes, I guess so.
Okay, yeah.
Același lucru s-a întâmplat și la căprițe, la porci, la găinuțe, unde s-a acționat cu plasma.
The same thing happened even with the chickens, the pigs, and goats when we use plasma. Equilibrium is okay.
La fel și nici la albine. Deci, practic, unde am folosit plasma, nu a mai fost necesar niciun fel de antibiotic.
At the same with the bees, practically when we use the plasma, we did not use any more antibiotics.
Este important să plasmatizăm, să pulverizăm și spațiul în care locuiesc animăluțele.
It's important to pulverize, to plasmatize the space where the animal lives.
Pulverizarea am făcut-o în general folosind o combinație de plasma de CO2 și oxid de cupru.
The pulverizing is made especially with CO2 and copper oxide at first.
Am folosit, de exemplu, pentru porci, am folosit 70% CO2, 30% oxid de cupru.
For example, for the pigs, I use 70% CO2 and 30% copper oxide.
Și raportul ăsta l-am folosit în special unde am observat că animăluțele aveau probleme, răni.
And this percent I use it when I saw the animals were suffering with pain and even cuts and inflammations.
Unde nu exista această situație, foloseam un raport de 90-10.
Whereas in other places where was the situation were okay, I use only 10% copper oxide and 90% CO2.
În momentul când, clar, apa trebuie să fie plasmatică, apa pe care o consumă animăluțele,
And of course, the water that animals are drinking must be plasmatized.
și în momentul când se pulverizează și mâncarea, deja rezultatele sunt diferite.
And when we pulverize even the food, the results are very different.
Mai avem un experiment într-o altă zonă din România, unde s-a aplicat doar în fântână.
We have another experiment in Romania where the experiment started with a fountain, with a well.
Sunt mai slăbuțe datorită faptului că cel care are văcuțele nu a continuat mai departe.
And the results are lesser because the owner did not go further with plasmatizing the environment just using the water.
Aici la fermă la Ionel și colaboratorii și vecinii s-au mirat foarte tare că și vițelușii au crescut extrem de rapid.
Here at Ionel's farm, the baby cows, even the neighbors were very amazed how fast they are growing.
Față de experiențele anterioare, un vițeluș la o lună părea de 3-4 luni.
In comparison with the other experiments, the baby is like 1 month with a 3-month baby. It's like a comparison.
Dar lucrul cel mai important este că Ionel și Maria și cel cu care lucrează la fermă și ei se simt excelent.
But of course, the most important thing, Ionel and Maria, his wife, and the man he's working at his farm, they are feeling very good and very well.
Și dacă ar fi să facem un calcul, prin faptul că deja jumătate din nutreți nu-l mai folosește, adică nu mai trebuie, nu-l mai consumă văcuțele, putem spune că în 6 luni avem o creștere de aproape 50%.
And if we took in consideration that half of the food that the animal remain, we can add up to a 50% remaining of profit, so something like that.
Clar cu 0 investiții de data asta.
This time with 0 investments.
Ok, o să vă ținem la curent cu aceste aspecte, experimente și mulțumim încă o dată. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will try to keep up and keep you posted with these experiments, and thank you.
All right, perfect, Gianni. That's a beautiful presentation. Great seeing the happy cows there. It's almost, in the video, it seemed like they almost recognized you when you came back or something. They were all looking up. It's the Gans man. Okay, well, any other questions for Gianni? Or Shall we progress to the next thing? Is there anything else, Gianni, you'd like to share?
No, Rick,
Okay.
I listen. Thank you.
All right, then does anyone else have anything they would like to, any experiences or pictures they would like to share here today? We have one testimonials.
Yes, can I stop?
Oh.
I have something to share.
Yes,
Can I share?
Filippo, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Can I share the what's happened after the dining with the creator?
Yes, sure, that'd be great. Thanks.
What's happening? The first day during the night, I experienced some kind of understanding of my parents. During the night, it came to me this new vision, full of compassion, and it's a kind of I understood this came from, I don't know, it's like coming from out, not from inside. It's something given to me, a new vision. And it's very, very full of passion about my parents. Never had before like, some feeling like that. And after that, my need for food is dropping drastically. And for the next 5 days after the meeting, the first meeting, I had practically nothing, very little. And another thing that surprised me is the next week after the first meeting, in the morning, I woke up with a very strong anger. And this has happened for the another 4 days. Each morning, I woke up with this rage for something happening in my family long time ago, and this kind of things pop up very strong in a strong way, very strongly. After this experiencing this rage, the things calm down, and for discover in the next morning, the next week coming, a very different mood in the morning, very good mood, relaxed, and very different from the week before. It's very strange. The first week with rage, and the next week very calm, serene, and feel like that. And another thing that surprised me a lot, I start dreaming vivid dreams with colored dreams. And I never had before so with this color, so precise, very defined picture in my dream. And I felt for at least 10 days a kind of pressure, kind of it's like holding something inside that caused me pressure. I can't describe why. There's no anything related, any fact related to this kind of pressure. But I felt inside kind of holding some energy. I don't know how to explain, but I felt like this under pressure. And after 3 weeks, I can say I feel now very balanced, a little bit more, and another thing that surprised me, I start to see people, close people to me, under a different light. People that looks me till that moment friendly, suddenly start looking very different, very sometimes mean. It's kind of new vision. I don't know why, but I start noticing little thing that make me understand relationship with these people in a different manner. This is it. This is it. Roughly, what's happened to me.
Well, that's quite a few changes. It's good you note them.
Yeah, very powerful change. The rage I felt was so strong, Rick. I felt pressure in my chest. I never felt before like this. It was very strong rage. Very
For
strong.
you mentioned for like 4 mornings in a row that you got up.
Yeah. 4 morning. Wake up with the rage. The rage the rage wake me up.
What about during those nights? Were you dreaming? Do you remember any dreams, or did you sleep well, or were you tossing all night, or was there any relationship to when you woke up feeling anger?
No, the anger episode is restrict only in the morning.
Okay.
And during the night, everything was fine. Nothing. I was scared a little bit because I never felt this pressure over my chest.
You think a heart condition or some physicality thing, right?
Yeah, it took me on the physical side very strong. And it's a kind of something to point it at. Never go in that track again, because it was so strong. And maybe and something I recognize, is kind of I saw myself from outside in this rage. And I saw it's like a camera and looking at me, and how so stupid, acting so stupid. And this camera bring me back to the normal.
Yep.
That's it. What's happened?
Sort of an objective observation of yourself, basically, from outside yourself in a way. So it's like the soul looking at the physicality, and the physicality can't help itself. It must be angry. It has to do its thing, but you can't do much about it at the time. You can't just suddenly say, stop being angry to yourself.
It was funny. It was funny. Look at me in a way. I looks very, very awkward and funny.
Yeah.
Filippo, may I ask you a question? It's Dean here.
Yeah, hi Dean.
Hi, Filippo. So Rick just mentioned that it was like a camera looking back at yourself. Yeah. And do you feel that those emotions, this anger that you felt, was this part of your own structure, your experiences, or was this part of the soul of maybe your family and others that you're connected with? How do you sense that?
Can you explain better? Expand a little bit. I don't understood.
So do you feel that emotion, that feedback that is coming back to yourself, do you feel that was part of you, your emotions you personally have experienced? Or is this experience maybe from other members of your family? And this family could be your immediate family, or it could be like we're all connected with the units and everything. So we're all experiencing many, many souls at the moment.
I think it came from me. It's my lack of, is something I'm lacking in understanding. So it leads to that lack of understanding leads to rage. It came from me. In fact, the camera looking at me from outside, he pictured me as a funny.
Okay.
Look at you. Look at how behave you. You're so poor. It's kind and not judgmental, but it's so naive. You are so naive. Why are you doing that? Why you lose your health by doing that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there, Philippa. Someone's made a comment in the chat about if you've been fasting, have you been in a position where you've stopped eating so much since you've gone into this position of dining with the Creator?
I had little bit for 5 days. You know what is salsicha?
No, sorry, say again.
It's a meat.
Okay.
In 4 days, I basically eat 4 meatballs.
Okay.
Nothing else. Very little.
So someone's made a comment that's saying when you start fasting like this, some of the parasites in your stomach can start to create conditions where you would maybe get angry. So that's an explanation that someone's put in the chat. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but apparently that may be it.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the way she put it was a little bit different, which I'll quote, which is, she says, when you're not eating, the parasites in you get pissed off because they are not getting fed. It's very common when people start fasting. I know about that as well because I've fasted many times and for my whole life, over 40 years. And you get used to that because, and you find there's ways you can not piss off the parasites basically and keep them under control and so on. But it's true, and we have to realize that of all the souls in our body, if you consider every cell as a soul, then there are more cells inside of us that are bacteria, virus, and parasite cells than our own DNA cells, to the ratio of 95:5. In other words, only 5% of the cells or souls in our body are our own DNA.
Really?
Now, in terms of weight, in terms of mass, it's the other way around. Only 5% of the mass of our body is not our own DNA. But that 5%, there's so many small, little, tiny wee souls, because each cell is a soul, and cells of our body, of our DNA, are much larger than the cells of a bacteria, virus, or a parasite. So, yeah, we're way outnumbered when it comes to souls inside of our body. So when we're eating, what are we really feeding? And there's scientific research that often for people, especially if you're in certain diets like the typical North American diet, you will have parasites, and everybody has parasites to some degree. It's just a matter of how overrun you are with parasites and how, what type they are and so on. But there's ways that you can deal with that so that you're not really affected so much emotionally from it. But it is a typical thing that happens when people stop eating, is they might feel, really kind of on the edge of emotions and feeling other different emotions and so on. And
I understood this person relate my hunger with the fasting, maybe. Is that what he's trying to say?
Yes, and that can happen. But on the other hand, sometimes when you go through a spiritual process like the dining with the Creator process, and that also involves food in a way, but it can activate deep-seated things within us that may not be associated with the parasites and so on, but more an emotional trauma or some other thing, perhaps connected with food. When we were young, we didn't get enough food or enough love or something associated with food or some other connection. And maybe a trauma in the family and so on could be involved there, and that could come out when we're essentially fasting from even those emotions, and then suddenly they can rear up and come out. And usually when we observe them and they come out, and we can objectively observe, like it seems like you did, Filippo, you were able to see yourself being angry. And it seems like that is the best process in order to process the emotion, is to observe it. That act of observation often is enough to dissipate that emotion, at least over time, especially with the repetition. You did 4 repetitions, which is, like in, they say in weightlifting, no pain, no gain. So you had 4 days of pain doing the weightlifting there. And then after that, you can handle it, and it may be dissolved forever after that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do anything really on purpose. I just let it go, my anger, let it express all the hunger. It was till the point I felt pain in my chest. It's not heart issues. I hope it isn't, but the anger was so strong, and I let it go. I let flow my anger without stopping it. Mm-hmm. So I think I reached some point very dangerous from my health. And at that point, something happened. But I'm not turning on that camera on purpose. This camera pop up like, a camera there, and look how stupid are you. It's happened with synchronicity. It's not a process came from. I want to look myself from outside. Mm-hmm. I would like to. It's happened like this without any thinking about it.
Right, but under stressful circumstance, in our emotional stressful circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's usually when that objective part pops in, is when the bus is bearing down on us and we're in the lane and we need to move really fast. That's when we tend to jump outside of our body and start to see differently. So that's when the grandmother can, lift the car off the person that got run over by a car or something like that. There's classic examples of people that can do extraordinary things, and that's the opportunity when we're outside looking in a way, gives us more of a handle and more possibilities of being actually able to do something. Anyway, that's a pretty neat experience. Thank you for sharing.
Rick, may I just ask him another question quickly? So, Filippo, did you experience, because I've been in those sessions as well, and I have had some of that, not so much anger. It's not anger like you've described, but certainly emotional ups and downs. One moment it would be very, I would wake up and I would find that maybe I was not angry, but just something was not quite in place. And then another moment you would be very emotional and very tearful and things like this. And this could be put down to age groups and all sorts of things to do. But the fact that we've been in the process in the unit and experiencing the elevation of the soul, and this has been a gradual elevation. And I don't know about yourself, Filippo, but I've been in for I went in for the 2 weeks. I think I missed one of the days or so, and I've been in, and so we're gradually getting this filtering process and stripping away some of the emotions and other things that we've experienced in our lives, and this is being replaced by this elevation, this pure energy that is coming forward, and as we say, removing the parasites and however you want to describe it within our structures. So we're going through a cleansing process, and sometimes that can feel like all the different emotions that a human would get welling up within inside ourselves. And then, as Rick described, then we would take a position where it would maybe cleanse it and clear it for all time, so that then you can then move forward into into the next stage, the next moment where you don't carry that baggage and it's been released. So hopefully that process is happening for any of us that have experienced this. And hopefully many people that don't need to go through that, but I'm sure there's many of us emotions.
By talking with other people, other knowledge seeker, because I get a little bit scared about, because why so strong this anger? And I start talking with other people. The other guy, the Italian guy, came to this meeting, and they experience things like this, not very strong anger, but when it seems we go to this kind of process, something came from the past to us.
Yes, exactly. Well, like Dean says, I think this process that Mr. Keshe sets up, it's not an additive process, it's a subtractive process. If you're trying to elevate in a hot air balloon, you don't add more weight. You don't, take on more passengers and put on more rocks and baggage and stuff on your hot air balloon. If you want to go up, you let go of the baggage. You get rid of the rocks and excess stuff you have, and the higher you want to go, the more baggage you have to get rid of. So it's a subtractive process and then some of the baggage that we get rid of is, we have attachments to it. Oh, I really like that bag. I really like the contents of that bag. Well, if I want to go higher, I have to get rid of it. Okay, well, and then once you get rid of it, you realize, well, I didn't really need it after all, and I feel so much freer up here that it was really worth it. But sometimes it's the pain of letting go of that baggage can be, felt in the physicality, because our physicality is so attached to physical stuff and emotional stuff and mental stuff. And it's that dropping of the stuff that enables us to be mobile and move from one position to the next.
Do you think, Rick, that this, what you've just explained would be so that when we get to the transmutation process and moving from point A to point B, using the soul and not using the physicality, the physicality will catch up, when you get to the position? Do you feel that you would need to go through this process to achieve that condition?
Well, how do you travel without baggage, basically? you know, if you can't take it all with you, then you have to learn how to drop it off before you fly, basically. Like if you're going to go on a flight from North America to Europe, you're not going to want to take everything you own in your life with you and, you know, several containers of stuff unless you're moving permanently, perhaps. But for visiting and traveling, generally we travel light with 1 or 2 bags of our essential things. So it'd be similar for soul travel in that those that know how to do it know how to get rid of their excess baggage quickly, let's say, and don't have to spend hours or days or months or even years learning how to get rid of their own baggage because they've spent their life dealing with that, basically, dealing with their own personal issues and all of the things that prevent us and our attachments and emotional, you know, traumas and things like that, that, you know, maybe I'm really afraid of flying because, you know, something happened to me where I fell off a chair and when I was young or something like that. And unless you resolve that fear, then you might not ever want to or be able to travel. So various, you know, emotional things may prevent people from getting into that space of being able to do their soul travel thing. I mean, that's what many people spend their lives doing meditation as a you know, a habit or a thing that they do for connecting to a different part of themselves than the physicality. And that can, you can do meditation and do it perfectly in one moment the first time you try, or it might take you 20 years of extreme daily hours-long meditation, and maybe not even still are you able to attain that perfect Zen state that they claim that you can attain. So
yeah,
it's different for different people, I guess. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. So I remember Mr. Keshe saying that you don't need to meditate and you can do this in an instant. So for some people, you know, meditating and getting into the position, as you said, they spend years and years and years doing this, and they may you know, create a field strength around them where they start to sense some of it. However, if you can live any life, because it's all the souls present on the planet that are going to, at some time, no one's left behind. Everybody's going to experience this. And so, you know, this is part of a planetary elevation at the moment. Many different people are going to experience it in many different ways, and not everybody's going to have the moments to meditate and do all these things. So it's going to be a field strength, an understanding, and I think for many, it's when you touch the soul. It's really when the soul is touched. And for some, as we know, as I just said, they need to meditate, and others it will be instant, because regardless of the baggage they have, it will be. I've experienced it, and I'm sure many knowledge seekers have, where you get involved with plasma, and it elevates you so much that it feels like you're touching something so incredibly beautiful that the emotions just well up within inside you. And it's Mr. Keshe has explained it. Many people would almost commit suicide.
Yeah, this is true. Yes, this
happens. Yeah, I think so.
I'm talking today with another knowledge seeker, Paolo. We talk about this. Sometimes he talk about when you get in touch with some kind of gas, you make some kind of plasma, and this plasma touch you so strong, and reality around you, you start looking very different. And this has happened to a guy just by using plasma.
Yeah, I think it's different for each one, Philippa.
And there's other things too. I mean, this is what we're talking about is the process of waking up, essentially, and that is something that's been a process for many millennia, actually. And there are actual schools that have taught the process of waking up all the way along. It's just that 99.9% of people are not interested at all in that possibility up until recent times when more and more people now are interested. And suddenly your aunt, who you thought would never have any possibility of ever discussing anything spiritual or whatever, is suddenly very interested in something or another that you would never expect, and are elevating themselves and others and so on. And, everyone from the street cleaner right up to possibly even world leaders are elevating themselves. Maybe even the world leaders will be able to elevate themselves, but certainly the people on the street level are. And they're not a lot of them aren't particularly happy about waking up, because they start to see the things around them that are part of the control mechanisms that keep people asleep. And they start to rebel against that. And all of a sudden they're in some sort of a protest that your grandmother's involved in a protest and getting arrested and stuff. And the world's a different place than it was a decade or two ago. So we're definitely working toward a place where the common people are waking up and becoming, in touch with their soul. And that's, each person has a different response to that. The actual physicality can be very grateful and happy, or it can freak out and be very angry, depending on the situation. But eventually the emotional stuff will die down, and the soul takes more control in the situation, or more interaction, and the emotional outbursts become less of an issue.
Yeah, I see that a lot, Rick, what you've just described, with many people going through this process, and whether or not they've been part of, as a knowledge seeker, many people are experiencing the field strength of this elevation, and this must be a soul elevation that's happening as a gradual process, as many people are starting to correspond with each other, and understand what's been taking place. And as you said, they're waking up and finding it. Some people, it's a beautiful experience, and it's all, this wonderful, touching the creation and stuff. And then you come back down with a thump to reality, and then it's you start a process of, as you say, some people go to seeing all sorts of things that are happening within their environment and communities that they disagree with, and they get involved in it another way. And then they start speaking with their families, and then the families start to, whereas before many would, as you said, were totally disinterested, and now they're starting to sense it, because many souls are feeling it, and it's gathering momentum. It's a field strength that's the elevation of humanity is happening. The foundation, the councils, the Universal Council and stuff have been elevating a lot, and many others doing this as well. Many souls present, and all the souls in the body, as you described, Rick, are all elevating. And this is, if the planet Earth is one cell in a very much bigger picture, then this this process happens in many different positions. And we as souls present will, as the fields change, as the condition changes within the GANs within our body, then we will start to all experience this gradually, and each will experience it to their own field strength and their own emotions, and what they've experienced in their lives. So
yeah, well put.
Okay, sorry. Somebody else wants to-
Well, it's all part of the testimonials in a way. Anybody else have any? Let me read a comment in the live stream here, which is appropriate also, from D. Bastian, who made the comments before we were even talking about anything. He, in relation to the dining with the creator experience, which I should explain a little bit before we continue on about it, because people that may have tuned in may not have heard about the dining with the creator experience. And basically that's what Mr. Keshe set up, where people would communicate through a Zoom call, and people called in on the Zoom, leaving their microphones open. Everybody who participates has an open microphone, and listening with headphones. And the idea is to listen quietly, not to make any extraneous sounds, and just be present at the facility at Linz, or present in your own environment, but projecting yourself to Linz to be able to either participate in a food or other sort of nourishment environment, or bring your own food to that environment was another part of it, and experience that with others, and give from your soul to elevate the situation, and so on. So Mr. Keshe had set up this environment for people to participate in, and many of us did, and so we're relating our experiences as Filippo did from that environment. So here's D. Bastian in the live stream. He says, I was there on the first trial and did experience the water in the mouth like others did, no smell or taste. So the water in the mouth is like salivating or saliva that seemed to build up during the experience. Even if we didn't have a smell or taste of food, somehow we had this salivating as if we were preparing for food. So he goes on the first and second week of extra sessions. I should explain, we had some extra sessions in order to experience it with others. Once again, we could have up to a half hour per day for a week, and we would sign into the Zoom and be there with others for that half hour silently, but with our microphones open, which is anything but silent, but it's subtle sounds at least. So he goes on the first and second week extra sessions. I did not feel any weakness, and did eat about a quarter of what I usually eat. I am pretty sure I would have been okay not eating at all if needed. And he goes on, I do feel empty stomach, but no weakness, and eating seems to be more of a habit than a need. Maybe the chewing action was only needed to some point. At some point, it was maybe my lack of confidence in the process or unknown fears that pushed me to eat, apprehending a potential weakness, for example, before doing more intense physical activities. Okay, so that was from D. Bastian in the live stream.
Rick, I think that was very well put, and I think many of us would have experienced this salivation. And so we experienced like a water coming into our mouth, and because in the systems there's been lots of different foods, ganses of foods are put into the unit, and this is feeding the energy of the food to the people that are participating. And so we're receiving a spectrum of energies. of cans of food and other items. So the fields of it, the magnetic and gravitational field interaction, like in the Ganses, like Gianni showed when he was showing putting the Gans water in with the food product, is still a field interaction. And so we're experiencing that in a condition of a mobile condition. So we can be in any time, place, and position on the planet at the moment, and we can receive the field transfer of the energy of the foods. And some of us are experiencing it through this, like the salivation in your mouth. You feel this water build up. And I heard this noise happen quite a few times where people would actually, when the people have got a lot of water in the mouth and they go, and you can hear it. I could hear this quite a few times. And I experienced it myself. And there were lots of different times when I felt on my tongue, certain areas of my tongue that were like on the tip of my tongue to begin with, was I felt like something was, happening, like pins and needles on my tongue. And then it moved further up my tongue later on in the session. And I had other experiences where the soul is taking another position. And so many people experience many different things, and it really depends on you, on your field strength. And I felt the same as what was just been said, where I felt very full most of the time, and I'm still eating, but I do know that I don't need to. It's more of a habit. It's an emotion attached to seeing food, and it's just because it's something I've done all my life. And then you sit round, or you sit with other people, or you sit by yourself, and and it's this gathering the energies. So it's like it's a habit to go out and expend lots of energy. And you do, when you think if you have to go and collect the food, you have to harvest it, or you have to go to the shop and buy it. You have to carry it. You have to spend all the time and energy to create the energy to create the money to buy it. So the amount of energy we expel for this, as Mr. Keshe was saying, he explains it as 20% of the energies that we require, because 80% comes from the atmosphere all around us, from a universal flow of the conditions around us in the environment. And so the emotion is attached to this 20%, and we put a lot of energy into creating this 20%. And so this process of going into the units and receiving it in another way is, we're opening up a new superhighway corridor of energy flow. And as Mark has put I've noticed in the chat, I'm enjoying my new Dining with the Creator experience, which of course is you. So, and all the souls that are present are adding their field strength and the elevation and their experiences. And so many of us are experiencing each other's beauty. And this is something that will expand and become more and more and more. And so Mr. Keshe said that he will be able to feed a nation with a very small amount. So this has huge implications across. And this is a wondrous thing that we're part of this opening up of this new technology, this new experience, and many of you will come to experience this in the moments to follow. Thank you, Rick. Sorry, but going on a bit long there.
Oh, that's great, Dean. I had a strange experience with, I guess it was last month's dining experience, when was brought up to have pizza, that the Italians had brought pizza, and we were to figuratively dine on pizza. Well, it was, strangely enough, I had pizza a few hours before the workshop, and I don't often have pizza. I have to have special, gluten-free pizza, usually frozen. I make it myself, or cook it myself. And so by coincidence, I'd had pizza, before the workshop. Now, the strange thing about that is that I was not successful in cooking the pizza properly. My oven was out, having trouble with the oven, so I had to cook it on the stovetop. And it ended up, had it on too high of a setting and just burned the heck out of the pizza, such that I could only get maybe a mouthful. I had half the pizza that I was making, and I could only get a mouthful or less out of it. So I chewed that and kind of let that be my entire meal. Then did the workshop, and strangely enough, they talked about experiencing the smell and taste of pizza in the workshop. It was fortunate for me, I already had the taste of pizza in my mouth, and could, somewhat experience that and so on. I kind of laughed when I heard that pizza was going to be the food that we were to experience and have the connection with in our virtual, or whatever you like to call the traveling to Linz and dealing with this experience. I thought that was kind of ironic. And then I decided to, later on in the day after the workshop and so on, I decided to have the other half of the pizza, which I never really got to have in the first place, in the first half. And when you know, I lost my attention for just a few minutes and just burned the heck out of that one too. So I ended up with another mouthful of pizza, just some of the toppings that were still good, and the crust was all just completely burnt and not edible. And I just laugh because, we talk about not having to have as much food and so on, and I had that experience as well. In fact, my sense of taste and smell had sort of been absent for the last while, especially after I had a illness in December, possibly COVID. And so I had lost my sense of smell and taste primarily, and I was just starting to get it back with this pizza and starting to get a little bit of taste, and I could actually taste it better in the experience in Linz with the dining with the creator than I could with my own pizza. And the whole thing just seemed quite ironic to me that I couldn't get the physicality experience out of it. I couldn't get the real experience was absent to me, both because I couldn't taste properly and because I burnt my pizza anyways. I couldn't even taste it burnt, but it's kind of ironic that the experience in Linz was actually more vivid for me in some ways than the experience in the reality, which was a big disappointment.
I've had this experience that you just described, Rick, with the taste and smell. So the COVID thing, I think I've experienced this, and I noticed that when I was dining with a creator through what part of the week, that all of a sudden when I did go to eat something, my taste was very vivid again, and so this process of the my nostrils clearing and give me the ability to taste food again happened, and my nose normally blocks up with over a period of time, and then you lose your sense of taste again. And so, as I said, that cleared up. I was experiencing a different, and the joy of food when you taste it in the physicality is a beautiful thing, and it's a completely different experience to when you suddenly don't have your taste and smell. Then it becomes like eating blocks of whatever. It doesn't, the emotion starts to disappear. Mm-hmm. So it is the sense of smell and taste that keeps us enticed into food. And when that is taken away, that part of it, it doesn't have the emotional contact with you.
All we're left with is texture then. So you go for different types of textures of foods. And in a way, it's a great experience because we're left without those two senses, which, of course, if we were out in space, perhaps we wouldn't have those senses, at least in the way we know them. And we wouldn't be looking for food, and, no hamburgers floating around in space kind of deal. But we get to have that experience of not having those senses, which makes you rely on other senses like the texture or sense of the feeling of sensation. That's there, but it's not enough to really make you want to continue eating in a sense. The enjoyment of eating just for texture is pretty slim, let's say. But we're so much in the habit of making our jaws go up and down and receiving some sort of emotional, impulse from that act of eating. It's got to feel good, or you're not going to eat and you're going to wither away and die, basically, is kind of the philosophy there, generally speaking. But when you learn to consciously select fasting and to select it being okay not to have big full meals 3 times a day and all of that sort of criteria, then we can learn to enjoy the experience more without having our urgencies to complete that act of eating, to get that emotional response that we were so kind of used to in a way. So although there's lots of beauty in that sensation of eating and all of that, it is part of our physical keeping the physicality going and all of that. We have to have some pleasure in what we eat, otherwise our digestive enzymes aren't willing to come out and play with the food and do their act as well. So it's a bit of a dicey situation, because as we become more impartial and more objective and requiring less food perhaps, or experimenting with that, at the same time we do have these built-in habits which we then have to contend with, and again sometimes the emotions that come up, the body might be complaining, oh, you're not feeding me enough, or not giving me enough attention with with all the nice flavors and smells and so on. What are you doing? And so on. You might be questioning yourself, or your body might be questioning yourself. But if the soul is strong, then it takes control and says, okay, well, it's okay. You're not going to die. I'm not going to let you die. It's going to all be okay. In fact, you're going to feel so good after this that you won't know what's going on. So, it's a process, and we go through it.
Yeah. So I think with food, it's also the social thing. This is a very big aspect of it. Depending upon the nationalities, because different nationalities have very different ways that they experience food. Some nationalities like to, like a pizza or whatever, they like to share, and it's something that the food, it comes together on the table, and it's shared amongst many, and it's all the talking and hand waving and gesturing and enjoying and laughter and all the emotions that go with food, and some nations don't have this. They tend to eat alone, and you see this. They have one plate, and it's very much, this is my plate, and they just keep it to themselves. So there's a different flavor and feel strength of how food is distributed amongst humanity, and how we react to food, and that depends on our social structure and how we in our family structure, experience this. And so there's a lot of emotions and a lot that happen to do with food. If humanity actually sat back and actually thought about food, it's such a massive contribution to life that so this is where these units are creating. This is going to be a filtering process and a big understanding for all of us as humanity. That's for sure. Sorry, Filippo, you wanted to say something?
Something I remember. Another things I forgot to say during this session. The first time I felt. Do you know when you try to check some battery, 9-volt battery, with your tongue, and you try to understand how much is charged?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Did you ever try this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When the battery goes very low, you felt a little bit this current flow in your tongue, in your mouth, and this is clearly because I felt this kind of sensation for 3 times very clearly. When I was connected to this dining with the Creator, for 3 times this sensation came to me in my tongue, and it's kind of a little flow of current in my mouth. It was very clearly. And another thing I remember now, something changed in my mind, because I listen when I listen the teaching, it's kind of, I understand new thing, and I don't know why, but I understand better. This process influenced my understanding about the technology. I don't know if some of you experience this, but for me it's very clear, and I noticed that. And in fact, this week I spent a lot of time to listen again the last teaching, the last 4 teaching, and I recognize I can understand new things. Something is unlocked. Yeah, something, a new feature in understanding the technology.
You've gone to the next level, Filippo.
I hope so.
Yeah. You've elevated. Yeah. So, I think we all experience this, Filippo, in different ways, and throughout the experiences with plasma over the years, I've experienced this with making the cups and making different reactors and spinning them and being within the fields of interaction of all these plasmatic conditions. I've made many different tools over the years, and I've experienced this in many different ways. And now Mr. Keshe is bringing it into a compact unit that can then everybody can tap into to experience this, to elevate and to receive the energies. And we all know, as you absorb more of this knowledge and the energy of it, you I don't want to say that it's like an intellectual, but you receive much more knowledge and you're able to hold on to and expand.
Yes.
It seems to open up to much more than you would normally receive, because it's an expansive, it's giving to you more and more. And it opens up this big superhighway to a much bigger picture, an intelligence that is beyond that, just that, the thinking that we've had through through our understanding of being present, through the experiences of being on planet Earth, with the books and the literature and all the teachings and everything else. This is now, and many have reached this, I think, in lots of different ways. It's not just a foundation. However, the foundation is bringing this forward so that many souls that get touched by this experience plasma, experience this much bigger opening up of their superconductive abilities to connect and experience a lot more. Anyway, someone else like to come in?
Sure. Can I tell my story?
Please.
Well, we went in on Sunday, I think, wasn't it, the first time for the longer session? I hadn't eaten since Saturday afternoon. So when we got out of that session, I knew that this was a very powerful technology. My stomach did growl a few times, but I went through Sunday, went through Monday without eating. I did have coffee and tea, went through Tuesday, and then about 6 hours into Wednesday, I decided to have something to eat. And that was the week we took a break in between the first session, I think, and the daily feedings.
That's correct, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we continued with the daily feedings. I knew my consumption already was down 30% to maybe 50%. So I think it was in 475 where he said you could go to this intermittent fasting, or feeding if you want to look at it that way. So what I decided to do 7 days ago was go to that 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. feeding time. And that's what I've been doing. Now, so this is day number 7. We went through the weekend. Everything seems to be fine. No distress. In the beginning, there were a number of stomach groans and what were seemingly pains, but they seemed to dissipate quite quickly. I also experienced that salivating and again, this is a process we're going through. But since last Monday, I've employed the 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. feeding time. What I've always thought was, and Mr. Keshe confirmed it recently, which says one of the biggest shames to him is that he has to eat things that have been killed. So that was one of my motivations to make this extended. And why is that bad? Because you're releasing a soul before it wants to be taken out of its structure. And then you're absorbing a small amount of fear and anger when you do that. So I wanted to move away from that, even though I'm not stopping eating completely, but I think we're moving in the right direction. So if you look at the 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., that's a 6-hour window. So that means for the other, 18 hours, I'm not feeding. Although, as I said, tea, coffee, sometimes I'll put a spoon of chocolate in the coffee and so on. A few cups a day, maybe 4 combined, tea and coffee. But anyway, I think it's working quite well. And without, as I said, I experienced this in the Christian setting, and it was a struggle to go 3 days without food. And this way, your stomach, at least mine, it feels full. I don't know how. I don't know if the food is digesting slower. But when you think about it, as you said, Dean, all we're doing is extracting the magnetical gravitational energy out of an entity, let's say. And of course, you take in 2,500 of those calories, you're using 1,500 to convert it, as I understand from Mr. Keshe, plus all the other additives and everything. So just, I can see how you can travel in space. If we had a room, obviously you could go in there if you felt hungry in the evening, just go in there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, top up, and you're good to go. We can't stop eating completely. I don't think like the energy generator, they're not going to take it to zero, at least at this stage. So if we can reduce the intake, and obviously you don't have to think about what you're going to have. So you're also doing less dishes, less water, less soap. You're not throwing out packaging as you were. But again, this is only day 7 in the beginning of a process. but I'm quite pleased with the technology. And I've tapped into Lentz a number of times, especially when you hear your stomach growl, but that's been coming less frequently. So I'm quite pleased with it. And if you look, that's 75% reduction in feeding time, even though I've been trying to sneak 2 meals into that 6-hour time. The physicality wants something. So, but what I found out in the last number of days is you don't really want to eat the second meal.
I found this, Mark, as well. I've noticed what you've just said, that in the mornings, where most people like to have something in the mornings, traditional English breakfast. I've never done that for years, but was a big meal. And I know
we always had to have breakfast. Yes.
Yeah. And I felt no hunger in the mornings when I get up. I was like, I might eat an apple or something. And I'm thinking, and even that, I'm sort of, and a cup of tea, and I'm thinking, whoa, I don't really need it, but it's that emotion again. And it's not till later on, maybe after midday, I start to feel something. Maybe I should eat something, and then I have a meal in the later on. So I'm automatically doing what you've just described, and it's sort of like part of the process. And all those gurgles of the stomach and everything, I've had exactly the same thing. So I think many of us are experiencing it when we explain it, many of us are experiencing this very similar things.
Are you feeling your stomach full, even though there's nothing been put in there for hours and hours?
Yep. I felt it feels like bloated. My stomach feels, and I've not eaten. I'm thinking, wow, why do I feel full all the time? And and it just feels full, and I don't feel the need to put any more into it.
Is it that we're slowing down the digestion when we do eat? I know one of the other things Mr. Keshe said was that the cells of the body which are absorbing these energies, which is the 80%, they're not waiting for the food to come in. So that's obviously the 20%. But when the food isn't coming in, are these cells now saying, look, I'm going to have to pick up the slack. We're not getting anything on the matter state side. So are they being trained to be able to convert more energies of the universe?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
And again, it's a process. That's all. He can't take you to zero. And he said you do need protein. So maybe there'll be some protein in this nutrition program. Isn't there a nutrition program being offered, Rick?
Well, think in terms of protein, which is amino acids, right? The COHN, Mr. Cohn, as we know it as. Well, what do we have in what we're breathing in right now, which we call the air? We have carbon from CO2 in the air and from the environment. And we have oxygen, which is 20% of our air. We have hydrogen, which is water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And we have, we're composed of water, basically, in our water bag we call our body. And we have nitrogen, which is 3/4 of the atmosphere almost is nitrogen. So we're breathing in, and with a bit of water or just the natural hydrogens in our body, we have all of the essential elements to make up the amino acids just in what we breathe in. So think about it. Perhaps we can learn to actually transmute what we already have. Why would we need more when we're getting it all with every breath?
Only because I said that, because I heard Mr. Keshe say, you can't stop it. You have to have protein, he said. Now, maybe he was just getting us to think, as he likes to do in a very sort of hidden way, and exactly what you explained, but nobody picked up on it at the point in time.
Yeah, and it could be there's other, ways and means of getting protein without bumping off plants and animals, perhaps. I mean,
I
for
think
just as a crude example, the scientists are now able to take the waste from a landfill, all the food waste and just general crop from a landfill, and make edible oils from it, which are basically amino acids put together in a oil framework. So they can now get essential amino acids from waste products, basically. And you do a plasmatic process with it. It's a plasma reactor that converts it and is able to make edible oils from that product.
it was spoken that Mr. Keshe said that he could take one of the nuclear weapons and turn it into food.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was spoken, yeah. So that obviously has all the elements to be able to do exactly what you've just explained, Rick, that we can feed and you turn it into a
plasmatic soup can feed everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
Because the plasmatic soup, it doesn't have elements in it. It has energy entities, basically. It's an energy soup. And from that primal energy soup, you can create whatever you like, because you can put together elements from the soup. And that's kind of the big promise of plasma and the transmutation that can occur in that environment, where you just have the core of the atoms which are floating around, not actual atoms with electrons. The electrons are separated from the core, which makes the core available for whatever you want to build out of it, essentially. For someone like Mr. Keshe, it's a playground of charged elements to put together or take apart, like a Lego set, essentially, to make whatever you like.
Creation, yeah.
You heard that China is getting advanced, at least defense technology, and probably advanced feeding technology, where he said that I'll feed 1.4 billion people without any food on the plate. And then he said, so multiply that exponentially by 1.4 billion, maybe this is what he means about feeding across the universe. Because he said the ones in the UFO are eating something. I don't know if it's coming out of the walls or how it's projected, but maybe they need some elevation in their feeding process as well.
Well, now we have the Italian fingerprint for food. This is very awesome. Don't forget, this dining with the creator is everybody give the food fingerprints for any kind of food we want.
Yeah, maybe pizza will be the ones that the embassy will use for the universal community to give them the first experience of the physical realm of food from Earth.
That you can experience. Pizza most probably is one of the last you want to try.
Well, it's just in the virtual world, or not virtual, but the way that Mr. Keshe has set up the dining with the creator, it's not whether the food is got nutrition and all the best kind of flavors or whatever, or most exotic foods of the world. It just happens to be a food that we can relate to and most people enjoy, so it can be transmitted to another place through the soul methods, and you can transmit yourself there and relate to it easily and identify with that particular food. And
yeah, this is beautiful, because we can by using the soul, the line of connection of carbon 14, we can everybody experience whatever we want, feel in a real way, like eating spaghetti or eating a good food from America. I don't know, whatever it is, or maybe feel our fish and chips.
They have good food in America.
I don't know. I never been there.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure either. I live here.
You have some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's fast. I don't know how good it is.
Yeah.
No.
You want it good or fast? We can't do both.
The tabletop headphone unit that's being offered in the store of the Keshe Foundation. What we're reporting is what we're experiencing just through listening through headphones, more or less in the matter state, as I understand it.
Yeah.
What he was saying about these new headphones, because the phones and the headphones that we're using now, everyone has, they can't handle the full spectrum of the plasma.
Yeah.
And he said, when you start using these headphones, you're actually going to taste, I don't know about smell, but he did say taste the banana, or the fish and chips, or the spaghetti and meatballs. But right now, the system we're using can't handle that. So if you're looking for taste and flavor, I know earlier on, he said we had to provide that emotion ourselves. But now it's seemingly going to be conveyed through the new dimension of the headphone tabletop unit. And
think about it. It's very sorry.
No, I was just wondering if you had heard Mr. Keshe report the same.
Yes, I heard the same. You talk about these headphones have a limitation because the things that you said before, exactly. But I'm wondering, the minute we have the headphones, the real one, we can all enjoy whatever we want without cooking anything. It's amazing.
I mean,
do we know if these have been being shipped yet? Have they been?
I have no, I don't know about that, but I know he indicated he wanted them to arrive before the meeting with the world leaders, the souls of the world leaders. So we'll have to see. That was the original plan, and as we know, things do move, change.
Yeah, of course.
But no problem. No problem. Right, it'll all be there at the right time.
So it'll be wonderful. What Gianni was speaking about, all these wonderful things that he's producing on this farm. Can you imagine that then everybody can experience what Gianni has created with all those wonderful knowledge seekers in that community, and then all of us can experience it and receive the energies of it. And in flavor from each nation, from each country, from each family has these specialities, and we'll all be able to experience the energy of it and the elevation and all the love and care that goes into it, which is the element that when a mother cooks a meal and shares it with the children and the family, it is that love and care that goes into it that creates the actual field strength, the emotion that touches the soul of physicality and then ultimately elevates the soul. So, and that love and care we can experience from all the other knowledge seekers and all the beauty that they possess, and all the other people that contribute in many ways of expressing themselves through food and other energies. That it's not going to be confined to just food. This is going to expand out and encompass everything. So a full spectrum of energies for humanity.
Right. And you may be asking yourself, why would we employ this technology to grow 3 times as much food if we're trying to move away from consuming food? Because when the food is grown, it's almost like the way the heating creates more clouds. So in the long run, you'll end up with a cooling situation. By feeding off the food, because I don't think food will go out of business anytime soon, feeding off the food will just take you to a different dimension, I suppose. I don't think that made any sense.
It did.
But what I'm saying, it will lead to the elevation of the soul of the man, which will lead to the less consumption of the food in the long run. Did that make sense? That's what I was trying to sort of
that makes
with
sense.
with the clouds.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's no problem. And he said we would be able to eat for the pleasure of it if we wanted to. But then again, he's given instances where you'd come across, he said in the future, they'll have supermarkets where it's all plastic. It's just they'll have all the oranges, apples lined up, and people will tour it as almost a museum of the way people used to feed on this planet. And then, of course, he said that in the future, we'll almost resent people who are consuming in this manner. There'll be some sort of resentment among the ones that aren't doing it to the ones that are doing it. So does that make sense?
Well, we get that now with the vegans versus the meat eaters and so on. There's actually violent clashes where they're protesting some of the meat packing plants and blocking roads and this kind of thing. So definitely we can see that could progress to the non-eaters versus the eaters kind of clash as well. But I think, fortunately, those that are moving toward the non-eating are also moving toward a non-violent and non-aggression kind of policies as well. So we should be able to merge with those that, even those that, eat animals, as many or most of us do now. In the future, perhaps there'll be much less of that, but we still have to have compassion and tolerance for those that might have eating habits that are different than ours.
Rick, can I ask you some question? What do you think about the sensation, the feeling? Do you think is very different from having real food versus plasma food? What did you reckon about?
Well, if it smells like it, tastes like it, and feels like it, then it must be like it. So our body responds. Like if we start thinking about a meal coming up or our favorite food, and if we start to think about it and really ponder it, then we'll start salivating and we'll probably get hungry and look forward to that food. And sometimes if we don't get that food, then we might get upset. If you're a kid and you're looking forward to ice cream and someone mentioned ice cream and we might be able to get some ice cream, and all of a sudden your whole world's thinking about ice cream, and then your father says, "Oh, sorry, we don't have time to get ice cream now, we have to keep driving." And it's like, I wanted ice cream. And the body freaks out, and the kid starts crying, and the child inside starts crying, and so on. So, that's our body will respond to what it expects, basically. So if we can get ourselves to get the digestive enzymes going, get the body prepared for the food, but realize that the food itself will be the impressions that we're getting, not the actual physicality, and that we can allow the body will allow itself to take in those impressions as if real food, and not have to create hunger afterwards, but create satiation, create a feeling of fullness, like you guys were talking about, without having to actually eat the food. So I think the body can adapt to that quite readily.
When we dream, when we have a dream, is real. When we have to think, it's the same thing. Now we in the same line of connection, we receive food, and I think it's gonna be real, like normal food.
It was spoken about. I remember Mr. Keshe said about there will be a position partly where some of us, or who have experienced this, will be able to go into a supermarket and just walk up the aisle and receive the energies. And so, if you're not buying anything, this is going to be a slight problem for the people selling. So they're going to want you to not do this. So there's going to be many things that may be created through this condition of feeding in another way.
Well, I've walked into the supermarket and gone through the frozen food section's really good, and looked at all these different foods and trying to find something that would be appropriate, to eat, and not really feeling the connection, but seeing all these foods as basically different kinds of GANs. So it's all the same material basically, but packaged in different and processed in different ways to make it appetizing supposedly to us to actually eat these, but they're all ganses of one kind or another. It's just basic amino acid GANs combinations, and it's kind of like all the same food, just marketed differently. And when I saw it that way, it's kind of takes away some of the pizzazz of, I just love to have that steak and, dive into it, or whatever, that ice cream or dessert or whatever thing that is getting your attention. Instead, it becomes, basically just another GANs for the body to process. And it doesn't really matter so much what kind, long as the body gets enough to sustain itself and gets that impression somehow that it's being fed. But it's the impression that's more important than the actual food stuff itself, because like I said, we're getting all of the elements through our breathing and drinking of water and so on. Why would the body want more than that? Because it already has the stuff to make up the amino acids and other things that we can actually do if we need to. I mean, there are people that live off of breath, called breatharians, and that's all they need is air in which to survive. And that's can be a place to work for it if we wish to go that way. Kind of makes sense in a way if you're going to space and trying to get used to the idea of being without the physicality food. Maybe we can train on planet Earth to live on air if we so choose.
Yeah, some people call prana, some people call it prana. Mm-hmm. Many have experienced this, Rick, I think. And just go.
Hello.
Just one point I'd like to say. Sorry, do you want to come in, Andreas?
Yes, since 1.5 hours.
Oh,
sorry about that. Go ahead, Andreas.
Come in.
Yeah, Filippo, when we are in the systems or connected with the systems and the soul expands over the physicality, then we come to those things which are blocking us or which are in us. And like you experienced it, when you see yourself, how stupid you behave, then this is the chance to solve it, as you said already. And I had this also in the transmutation experience, I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
Really?
And yeah, in different ways. I had worries in there because how the future will be. I mean, that's another story I don't want to explain, but it's perfect that you experienced that because you saw something from yourself which needs attention.
Mm.
And for myself, at the moment there are very much energies at my side because I use also the knee guns and I have got the energy back. But when it's about feeding or the dinner with the creator and the 2 weeks then later, I don't know when, but then there was the second week when we met every day. And on Monday I said, hey, I eat so much and why I'm here, I paid for it. The Keshe Foundation is delivering this opportunity and I have to do something. And at the same time, I thought myself, because I have to do with animals, sometimes I don't want to kill anymore. And on, I believe it was Monday, I said then to my soul, please help me. I don't want to kill anymore. And then I started 2 days eating nothing, then one normal meal, then 3 days nothing, and one meal and a dinner meal later in the evening, and then 4 days nothing, and then again, I don't know. Yesterday I ate, but I don't eat because I'm hungry, because I just wanted to feel the emotions of it. And it was really a pleasure to eat. And I haven't eaten much. It was just a little bit from this, a little bit from this, and it was just about the emotion, but not because I was hungry. And what I observed is when I don't eat, on the first day it's difficult, on the second day it's difficult, but the longer you don't eat, the easier it gets. And I observed from myself that I have much more energy than before. And as soon as I eat, then suddenly you get tired. And also the next day is different. You feel how the emotions are changing, your thoughts are changing. They are not that clear anymore. And I gave the trust to my soul that she leads me. And the beautiful thing is when I can share the love with the system, because then there is no doubt, there is no fear, and it just goes. And there was also one day very hard physical working, where I then really realized now energy is missing, and then I could go into panic and I have to eat something, or I can trust my soul that she's guiding. And it's all about transmutation of the energies or the emotions, how you can stabilize the being not hungry. And my days have full more energy. My thoughts are much clearer. And I want to continue with this process. At least 3 days not eating and then maybe eating. I mean, there I have to say clearly, I would like to go on ice with my son, for example, and just enjoy this moment, this ice. But on the other side, when I look now how much money I save, and also there's the thing, we in the industrial states, 50% of what we eat, these chips and sweets and everything, I mean, the most of it is just consumption. Half of it is just consumption. If I look on the people, how they eat, or my family and so on, 50% is just consumption, just bringing emotions in through eating. But when you then don't eat, or when you don't eat and you eat then you realize how different foods affect your thoughts and your emotions. And I believe the eating, I'm a little bit ill, or I have an energy pack. That's the other story. It's much easier, especially now with the cosmic rays, when we feed with love or with thankfulness for the humanity or for the creator or for everyone, and we share this love, then this feeds you the giving. And there are no worries, or there is just trust. It's everything what is needed, and asking the soul. And when we think about it, when we really want to go to space, the opportunity is here now with the cosmic rays. There is nothing more left. And we can connect every time to the unit in Linz. It's just we have to do it. And I have also the knee GANs, which is, the beauty is, these different emotions what you eat, they make you confused. When you don't eat, you are totally clean. And then you suddenly, if you have the knee GANs, you feel this energy. Or when there are also other energies like the social things what Dean spoke about. My mother was totally, she's cooking for my son and me, and she was totally somehow disappointed, and she hasn't known what she should say when I said to her, I eat through fields. I don't want to eat anymore. Every day. She tried it every day. Hey, I have cooked something. And I said, no, cosmic rays. And she was angry also. And those are also energies which we face when we stop eating, that we have to transmute or to balance, because these are energies which can bring you back to eating, because you have you think yourself, oh, I have to eat because of my mother, she's cooking and she wants to give love, I have to take it. Or that are all energies what you start realizing and what you can balance in order not to let steal from you energies. Or energies, for example, if you see food, when the water comes in the mouth, and then the emotion of hunger comes, a strong pull or emotion trigger that you want to eat something. But then you can transmute that in the emotion that you see the food and you thank the food and you ask, can you give me energy? That's a difficult one for me. At first it was difficult because my son is eating very good things and grandma buys very good things and I'm not allowed to eat. But I learned it not to, I don't know how, it's so easy, but it's, I don't know, gravitational energy which pulls you to it that you eat it, but you can transmute it, that you give to this food and you say thank you, and can you give me the pleasure in fields? And then suddenly it gets a habit, or normalized that you just look at the others, oh, they are eating, that's good. And if you are hungry, then you just ask the food if it can give you something. But it's not the food only, it's also the love what we have for each other and the giving, because somehow then you receive. Or a big part is also like Filippo said, or like you all said or discussed, to balance the emotions which takes you energy that you don't need to recharge your energy through food. And there are much more things what you can look at or experience, and it's every time the point again to understand it and to balance it, and then it's a beautiful experience. And I have to say, when I ate after 3 days, on the 4th day, I have never eaten so good, and I really enjoyed it. And I don't eat 2 kilos, I eat a normal meal or less than usually. I just enjoyed it and I loved it. But what is then difficult is the time after it. At the beginning, in the first days, it was like that, or the first times not eating, that then you suddenly, after it, you want to fall back in the habit. And so the first day, when you stop eating, and the second day, they are the most difficult ones, but the third one and fourth one, for me, was very beautiful. And I don't know if I have loosened weight. I don't know how long it is, 10 days or 12 days. And I'm not afraid of losing weight, because I know from Mr. Keshe that you lose weight till you find the balance point where you don't lose weight anymore. And I had a little bit stomach, so it's okay if I lose weight. And that's how I experiencing it. Or what I wanted to say before, I got an energy pack, not a very hard one, but I know it's here, especially in the morning when I wake up, the first 10 minutes, like in the lung or in the nose. And today I had brain headache, which was like a little bit the pressure what you can have when you are in the systems or with the headphones. And I experienced this in a lot of different ways, that the fields that you can influence, the fields of your body, or like the pressure in my head, which was a little bit such a illness, magnetic field pressure pain. And there I used then the pain pen, the newer ones, which you can use on the head too. And I really could feel on which area. The same is with my knee, with my ankle, where I have damages. You can feel where you need to hold the pain pen, and you can balance it, and suddenly the headache is away. Or even the energy pack, I try to work with myself with this energy pack, with movement of energies. I am not an expert, but I realized it's possible. Or to transmute them, however you want to call it. And it's a big part of it is because I'm not eating normally. Like now I eat, I don't know, 10% of that what I eat normally, and suddenly it got much easier to handle with these energies, with this flowing. And there are also the things like Filippo said, there is something like in the chest area, or you can have brain pressure, or you feel flows in front of you, behind you. And if you do not eat, then you can experience that in a clean way. Because when you eat, then you eat other emotions, and then it gets more difficult to do that. And I believe that is one of the things you shall not kill, that it's not only about the killing, it's about yourself when you eat, that the physical eating is somehow a blockage.
Yeah, Mr. Keshe says we reach the perfect conduct when you stop to eat food.
Yeah, it's really, you feel so light and you have energy, you can't believe it. And then you eat something and suddenly, boom, you crash down, your emotions are disturbed, you're tired. And it's not only for 1 or 2 hours, it goes, if you eat on the evening, the whole next day, you need time to digest it and to balance these energies, what you forced yourself. Because if you eat, you force yourself with energies. And that gets so clear. And I will just continue with it. And also, like you said, and a lot of us are experiencing that since a long time already, but it doesn't matter, that you understand things totally different of Mr. Keshe, or suddenly you understand things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I spent roughly this last week listening and re-listening again, because things like new come to me. Oh, this when this happening? Is all the teaching is like this. Oh, this is new. When it's very strange, very strange, and more so, I can felt like new understanding coming from out. I don't know. It's like came from a dreaming something. But it's a strange sensation, but it's related to this new dining with the creator, because it wasn't like this before.
I'd like to read another experience of the Dining with the Creator in our live stream with Fried this time, who says, in the first week I did not experience salivating, but a strong dynamic silence. Friday at the special pizza meal, I tasted the pizza and smelled it very strongly immediately. What I liked especially was the company of many familiar names, which gave a welcome feeling. Next week, I forgot about what I wanted to bring and take and was distracted by some very present background noise. Between the second and third week, I suddenly got a strong stomach pain and a queasy feeling. The positive side was that it was very easy to be not eating at all now. Back to almost normal now, although with more awareness of my eating habits. Thank you, Mr. Keshe and Keshe Foundation Linz team for this opportunity.
And this eating awareness, if you don't eat and then try to eat salty chips, how it feels, or try to eat different things. You will suddenly realize how different foods crash you totally down. You feel the energy then. And then you get aware of it, what you usually eat every day.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. In one particular time in my youth, I had fasted for 10 days. And at the end of my fast, I decided to break the fast, but it happened to be on Thanksgiving Day. And of course, my friends and people around me created this huge, beautiful meal. And I partook in all of it and ate too much, actually. And I really noticed how much the food dragged me down and pulled me down. And even into the next day, it was a whole different dimension of having to process all this food that suddenly overwhelmed the body. It was not a good way to break a fast. So definitely the energy levels are like that time after 10 days of fasting, I had more energy than at any point in my life. I was out jogging and swimming, doing laps of the pool, and just because I had all this energy and I felt so good. And it's amazing how that can happen. I realized that energy, what we call energy, and feeling good and all of that process is not related directly to the food that we eat in terms of getting the energy from the food. It's far more complex than that, but yet very simple. You just, when you get into kind of a second wind phenomenon from fasting, and you feel like when you're in second wind and you're running, you feel like you can run forever, and you get that feeling of exhilaration and of just being able to do anything, basically. And that, to me, that is our native state. That's where we should be in if we are acting from our essence, from our soul, basically, which is happy. The soul is happy. The physicality stuff is what gets in the way, and we always have considerations of, and a bunch of emotions that all the lower emotions get activated through our physicality and the brain layers and so on. When our essence, when our soul just wants to be free, and that freedom comes with it the exhilaration and the sense of I can do anything. It's just the whole universe is laid out. Filippo, no, it's the background was, I didn't have a background image up, and I think I did have the image up, but it was only seen on live stream, not on our Zoom recording. So Mark was reminding me basically to put up a background image, which I did put up, and I think everything's good.
Yeah, fine.
You didn't have trouble.
No, it's not my rule or Rick's rule, but it was just more or less the foundation, like see the backgrounds of when possible. I know it doesn't always work when someone's sharing and they don't tell you, but they're going to stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, I forgot to intervene there, so thank you, Mark, for the reminder.
Can I ask one question? So maybe someone can have already make some test about it. Did somebody understood how to contain neutron plasma, neutron condition? Did you everybody work in that direction? Just for understand if we have somebody who testing something. I know it's not related to that what we're talking about, but because most of the people who testing and doing things is here, and so that's why I make these questions.
I think Brett was talking about that in the last couple of plasma groups. He talks about his experiments with plasma and creating with the deuterium and tritium and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not clear myself in this moment what to say about containing a neutron plasma. Anybody else have any inspirations or info?
No, but it was nice to hear a consensus from Italy to England to Austria to Germany to the United States to Canada on this feeding with the creator process. I think it was very positive.
Yeah.
But the neutron containing, no.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the question a little bit.
Well, if we had a bit more lead up to it, like what do you mean by it? What information do you already have? What experiments might you be considering in this question and so on? Are you talking about going to space, or are you talking about...
No. I'm talking about when you create the neutron condition.
Well, Mr. Keshe said the neutron is the free energy of the universe.
Yeah. But we can create the plasma of it. Once we create the neutron condition, the things is how do you contain it?
Well, how would you create it, first of all? What were you envisioning there? What do you have in mind? And maybe then we could suggest something that might be appropriate.
Well, the process is always the same. We make different kind of guns, and then adding and deuterium, hydrogen, and together we can tritium and deuterium, depends what kind of neutron we want. But once we reach that kind of plasma, how do the way we contain it? I don't understood. Reaching that point is not the point. Containing it.
Well, how would you know that you've reached the point that you need to contain it?
Well,
are you measuring it in some way, or do you feel it, or do you have an instrument, or how do you know that you are obtaining a neutron plasma to start with?
Well, is this in the same way you achieve CO2 guns? The same. How do you know you have a CO2 guns?
Well, we have tests that Mr. Keshe has done, and we replicate the experiment that he told us how to make it, and we can see it for ourselves. It looks similar, it acts similar, and seems to be similar. So we say it's CO2 GANs or ZNO GANs, a slight difference between the two, or other GANs that we create. But go ahead, Mark. You're going to say something.
Sorry, I want to jump in.
Okay.
No,
For me, the question is, because people are reporting, when I had been at the meeting with the creator, I haven't eaten days long, or I eat less. And for me, the question is, how have you managed to do that, or what happened? Because then you know how you make a neutron plasma, or you know how to use the C14, or you know how to use phosphor, potassium, and whatever, that are just energies.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can explore with these meetings.
What I was going to
because
say, oh, sorry.
like Mr. Keshe or also Jalal says every time, that are just names for energies. And in these meetings, we can discover these energies and learn what happens to it that I receive it. And humbleness is, for example, something to receive, or giving is something without expectation that you receive. And if we hold on this inputs, what we get, then we come forward in our researches.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to read what Jefferson put something in to share with Filippo. A simple guide for producing ganses of tritium H3, deuterium H2, hydrogen H, and neutron.
Yeah, I know the process is not very complicated. It takes a little bit, but once we reach the neutron guns,
Yeah.
this is the point. Achieving reach the neutron is not very difficult. How to contain it?
I know Mr. Keshe said once they got into some of this plasma nuclear technology or something, a lot of it wouldn't be shared. It can be if it's misused because of a lack of knowledge, it can be a dangerous thing. So perhaps when they're getting up into these, I know he talked about enrichment to pure plutonium, uranium in China within hours. So, and it's available to other nations as well for space travel, for peace.
If we look at what's said in the article here, it says for the deuterium GANs collection, use a needle syringe, collect the GANs, take a sealable test tube, open it, and with the syringe needle, inject the deuterium GANs into it. Seal the tube. Attention, store this GANs in hermetically sealed containers or tubes, which can be nano-coated for an optimal result. Contact with the atmosphere can affect this GANs as it interacts strongly with any plasma field in its environment. Tritium GANs and deuterium GANs are one of the most powerful sources of energy in plasma technology. And then in this image here, we can see the creation of the neutron in the deuterium condition from the interaction of, or combination of the electron and proton. From this interaction here, they combine into a neutron. And then with the leftover proton and electron inside of this deuterium structure.
And I know within our own bodies, this is something we're constantly, repeatedly doing day and night, is splitting neutrons.
Yeah.
And probably creating neutrons as well. So, and then it mentions a procedure for producing hydrogen GANs. But it mentions, attention, do not use hydrogen GANs in medical applications unless you possess the required knowledge. And advice, the 3 GANSes should always be stored in hermetically sealed glass containers, otherwise they gradually return to the structure of the raw material from which they were obtained, the CH3 GANs. Very practical are the glass jars with a rubber cap and glass lining. So I guess that would be what we call canning jars, or what do they call them?
Yeah, ball jars.
Mason
Canning.
jar. Mason jar. Yeah. And then there's the procedure for producing the neutron GANs. And mentions the difference between atoms of hydrogen and deuterium, as well as the difference between atoms of deuterium and tritium is a single neutron. Hence, one can obtain the plasma of a neutron by facilitating plasma interactions between these pairs of ganses. However, it is necessary to keep in mind that neutron plasma obtained in the interaction between deuterium and tritium differs from the one obtained in the interaction between deuterium and hydrogen. An example, let me go on here, an example of such a plasma neutron capture reactor is a dynamic multi-core reactor made up of 3 balls of different size, one inside another, rotated by a motor. For best results, these spherical containers should be made of glass. The largest ball is filled with a certain amount of tritium GANs in a distilled water salt solution. The middle ball is placed inside it, is filled with distilled water salt solution. Inside the middle ball goes a third, smallest ball, loaded with deuterium GANs, again in distilled water salt solution. The neutron plasma gets captured in the distilled water salt solution of the middle ball. Salty water is the best neutron capture medium because it slows down the plasma fields to their matter state. This neutron capture is at the plasma energy level. However, it is necessary to keep in mind that the neutron is very unstable. In plasma interaction with other neutrons, it easily decays into a proton and electron, thus radiating plasma fields. As a result, neutrons form deuterium, tritium, and other new elements. The results depend on the plasma environment we create for these processes, and one of the essential factors in creating this environment is our own conscious intention, the energies we engage in from the soul level in this process. Neutron is the initial fundamental plasma. The neutron plasma field is at the basis of plasma technologies for producing any type of material, depending on the condition of the plasma and the intensity at which the neutron is created. Hydrogen, deuterium, and tritium GANs, which are used in the neutron field's production, are sufficient to produce any element found in this universe. All applications of plasma technology are within reach, but only through the correct use and understanding of the neutron plasma field. So there's some clues for you in that last part in terms of how do we contain the neutron field in once we've created that. And it mentions the distilled water salt solution as the best, salty water being the best neutron capture medium, for example. It slows down the plasma fields to their matter state. So, I mean, if you wanted to control the neutron field, you could use that salty water as an environment, and you would notice that it's working if you started to create matter in the salty water from that neutron bombardment. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, amazing. And one of the essential factors in creating this environment is our own conscious intention, the energies we engage in from the soul level in this process. So there's definitely, it seems, maybe this is part of the missing keys is this transfer of energy from our own soul to some of these systems.
And the other part is the results depend on what he said just before that. The results depend on the plasma environment we create for these processes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
are you getting the neutrons from, from the simple deuterium and tritium, or are you working on the higher level with uranium and plutonium, as Mr. Keshe mentioned, that could create food and other materials and is essential for space travel? So it depends on what level that you're working with, will depend on how you contain that neutron to capture it or contain it, as the neutron has many different energy levels. And if you're working on the higher energy levels, you might need more than a thin layer of salty water. You might need a whole swimming pool full.
Anyway, the things regarding the containment is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Making it is, yes, it takes a lot of time, but how do we contain it? It's not easy task.
Well, it seems like a pool of salty water is the best way to contain it, and then you know that you have something because it'll show up in the matter state.
Mm.
But if you want to capture it and keep it going, if that's what you mean, and not just transmute it, that could be a tougher situation, because it's, as it's mentioned here, in plasma interaction with other neutrons, the neutron easily decays into the proton and electron, thus radiating plasma fields. And this is one of the problems in science as well. They don't like to have stray neutrons zipping around, because they give off radiation, and they create problems inside the body if you're getting those radiated fields coming inside the body. Most of those fields are easily repelled by the dead skin on the surface of the layers of our skin. But if for higher energy neutrons, that's a different story. And if you actually inhale or get it inside the body by ingestion, that's another different story too. Because then it's in close contact with the actual cells, and the radiating fields can be more of an issue. So you want to protect yourself in certain ways, which makes sense. Anybody else have any input on that topic? Filippo, you put in, I think, a section of the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, number 239, from 1 to 2 hours, something like that.
Yes, I put it in the chat if you someone some interested in it, just for sharing.
Yeah, that could be a good topic for the plasma reactor group, actually, which comes up all too soon for me here. Just make a note of that. I'll try to deal with that in the it's not letting me copy for some reason. There we go. Okay, that's the way to do it. Okay, I've got that noted, so we'll try to we'll bring that up in the Knowledge Seekers workshop and work with that some more. I think that that was a good link. Thank you, Jefferson, in the Wikipedia there. KF Wiki, that is. Let me put that link in the live stream as well.
Hi, Rick.
Yes, go ahead, Jefferson.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everyone. I don't know why I put the link, but I just broke the link. I don't know why. I just copy as usual, but when I put in the chat, it doesn't go at the full length. But Rick, it's easy to find in the KF Wiki.
It works for me. Both the links work for me. To just click on them and you go there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Oh, okay. It's a good. In the plasma time, there are so many good things to study and to understand.
It's true. You could spend a year or two just on the plasma times information and.
Yeah, there are 12 plasma times. Interesting. And if you allowed me, I would like to bring. I think it's a good idea to bring in the plasma reactor group because it's said there. It's the key factor. Maybe it's our soul. It's the strength of this neutron that's inside us. We can make it the same thing that is contained inside that we are trying to bring it out, to discontain it, and maybe that's the point where we can move. And if you allow me, I would like to bring a testimonial from the lunch or the diner with the creator. I don't know if it is still
absolutely
available.
Yep, sure, go ahead.
Yes, just to bring this testimonial because 2 years ago I started to play with this technology and to learn the method during the pandemic, and I made the gases, cup of life, and the cup 1 and 2, and the 4 basic gases. And during that time, I was just watching one of the teaching on Mr. Keshe said, "Oh, only the amino acid is enough for a meal." So I said, "Oh, interesting." So I think I shared this in the plasma reactor group a time ago, and I stayed 21 days without eating. Only I ate cheese, small piece of cheese, and Brazil nuts, and used the amino acid of the gases and in the thymus or sometimes in the tongue. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just experimenting. And the interesting it is that this technology is so powerful that you don't need to know or to understand very much in the beginning because it works. It doesn't matter. Sometimes people say, I don't believe or I believe. It works in the same way because it interacts with the field of the body, and Mr. Keshe explained it, something about this already. And so 2 years ago, I understood that we can really live. I stopped this kind of probe or test because of I was losing weight very fast. And my family, my son, my daughter is kind of aware with the situation, said, "Oh, what are you doing? You're losing weight. It's not something." So it just not to have some conflict with the matter state, the physicality, and the family. I just returning to it. But I understood that we can really live by that time without any food. And I was feeling, as you said, Rick, very powerful, a lot of energy, although I was losing weight. Now we know that the weight is just a matter of interaction between magnetic and gravitational field throughout the gravitation of gravity of our planet that brings the indication, the scale or something like that. But just the mass, I was just losing a little bit mass. Maybe I was more magnetic than gravitational. So I just stopped and I just eating, but I understood that this technology, we can live without eating. And during this process of this, the lunch or the diner with the creator, I felt a very happy and honored because of so many knowledge seekers were in that connection, and from everywhere in this planet, from every corner, we were all connected together and all connected to the links, to the units, and to each one. I think that's the most beautiful thing, because every one of us were in the peace of mind. We were, although some noises or things, but the thing is that everybody were with the intentions of moving forward this technology throughout the fields and the intentions and how to connect. It will happen as well with the prophets, with the energies from the religions. They were all connected already with us. And the energy level, they were the same level as we are. We are the same at soul level. There is no one more. And they enjoyed, in my view, to be with us and understand the position that Mr. Keshe is bringing us to balance this planet, to interact better with the souls from the universe and the fields from the universe. And it's interesting because in the first day, I felt a lot of water in my mouth. It's completely crazy. And I said, oh, it's good, because every time that I think about a pizza or a Chinese food, and still now, when I think the emotion that I had in that time, my mouth is full of water. So I have water to drink if I need. I'm thirsty. It works. It's very interesting, because of the emotion that I felt in that point is just replicating. It returns again. My body produces this saliva glands produce water, and you just can use, because now we know that the water, as Mr. Keshe brought it, is with the two gravitational hydrogen produce the same field of the carbon-14 that's connected with the cosmic rays, from plasmatic cosmic rays. And as I understand, just bringing the understanding that I have so far, I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, just sharing the view.
Well,
And,
I would say one thing, that even though Mr. Keshe talks about water, he's also said that there's no water in our body. It's actually Gans water, if you want to call it anything, because as soon as we start to take water in our mouth, then it converts to Gans water immediately through the saliva. And the saliva is not really water. It's a special substance, because it's mixed in with the amino acids and the enzymes, which are the spark plugs of life, basically. So it's full of life that's given life to the water in many ways.
Yes, yes, that's amazing, isn't it? Yes, that's the way I think, just to put it, because everything that's inside our mouth, it's in gas state. And this, I think this water, it's completely in the plasmatic field. It can maybe reach a higher level than the regular water that we put in our mouth. And
Well, if you're
that's
going,
amazing.
think about it in terms of, it's kind of gross maybe for some people, but if you think about it, if you want to clean something off, if I have a stain on my desk in front of me, I've got a, stain from some tea I had that spilled. And if I want to remove that in the moment with a piece of paper towel that I have handy here, what would I do? Just use a dry paper towel? No, I would wet it a little bit with some saliva, and it is amazing how that stuff. I put it down, and immediately starts taking off the yellow stain from the tea that I had there. It's amazing as a cleaner because it has the enzymes in it already. And amino acids that are ready to break down any substance, basically, any food substance especially, which is basically some nanomaterials. And it's able to convert nearly immediately into something the body can use, in the case of the saliva meeting with foods in particular, especially fruits and carbohydrates are digested primarily with the saliva. That's how it gets activated and becomes active in the stomach from the saliva. And you realize in fasting how the potency of saliva in healing the body. You can use your own saliva and swallow it and feel it going out and doing all the cleansing and cleaning up of the body, because it's no longer needed to just digest the food. It then, in effect, digests your own body, but only the cells that need to be replaced. It's able to efficiently remove those cells, including cancer cells and other defective cells, and they've also proven with so-called modern science in the last few months that they're doing more and more research on fasting, and they've determined that fasting actually allows the body to access stem cells and increases the stem cells in the body. And that's why in fasting you can have miraculous recoveries. And I cured a stomach ulcer that had me incapacitated when I was in my 20s. Within 3 days of a 10-day fast, all the pain was gone. The ulcer, there was no more sign of it. Whereas before that, I was doubled over and couldn't even stand up from the pain for a month solid. And I was desperate, and they wanted to cut me open and start investigating and exploring and stuff like that. And I didn't want that to happen, so I was desperate and tried fasting instead. And within 3 days, all the pain's gone, and I'm basically healed. And after 10 days, I have more energy and more of everything that I've had my whole life. And so I realized the power of being without food, and how you can connect basically with your soul and let the soul do the work. And it just requires the physicality to kind of get out of the way, stop overloading your system with foods that you can only partially digest, because those undigested byproducts go rushing around in the bloodstream and creating havoc, and the body has autoimmune things kicking in and all kinds of stuff happening full time just to deal with all the processing of the excess that we tend to put in, or bad combinations of foods, which is just as bad. You can have good foods, but in the wrong combinations, and you end up with indigestion, which is an overgrowth of either fermentation or putrefaction inside the digestive tract. And that produces a whole bunch of other entities that we have to deal with, literal entities. That's what feeds the bad guys. So, yeah, it's fasting is an amazing process, and using the get in touch with your soul in relation to that is a double amazing process, because you're consciously actually doing it, you know.
Yes, Rick, it's interesting because I was back in the health teaching. I think it was the fourth. I don't know if you remember with Dr. Elia Kastov and Mr. Keshe explained it about the connection between the muscle and the bones, and the interaction and the movement of the muscles expanding and retracting in connection with the bones and interaction. It opens the the magnetosphere of our body, or the aura, in such a way that it will give to the environment, and in this giving, it opens to receive the strength from the environment. So with the 80% comes from this point. I think it was the fourth health. That's worthwhile to. It's so much knowledge that Mr. Keshe. Now we, as Philippe was saying, every time that we read or we review some teachings, so many knowledge that we are increasing understanding. And when you say that you were making a lot of exercise or making a lot of things that you were implementing all of this, you were creating your aura, expanding and opening for receiving more from the environment. It's very nice. It's amazing. And about the saliva, many animals, dogs, even lions, whatever, they use it to cure themselves when they are hurt in some way.
Good point. Yeah, they lick themselves, and that's your natural reaction. If you cut your finger or something, you put it in your mouth, right? And I hurt my finger. Or,
when we burn anything, we just go and
what does mom do? First thing she does is she kisses it to make it better, right? Yeah. Oh, let me kiss it, I'll make it better. And let's transfer of saliva once again.
Yes, that's it's amazing. So that's like to bring in and just Rick, if I can just bring another experience from the following weeks of those dining with the creator. Every time that I join in different times of the day, in the first day and the first Monday, I just went to the meeting. I didn't eat for 24 hours, just eat a cheese bread or something. That I joined the meeting without any food, and I felt interesting because everyone was giving, and I felt that I was receiving from that. Was interesting. And the next day, I made it different. I went to a restaurant and I ate one food that I like, that is very tasteful, so that I could keep that energy to give to all of you and to everyone that was there to share the taste and the smell of the food. And the third day and the fourth day, that was different. I was using my ganses, smelling the ganses, tasting the CH3 water to give to the units, to give to everyone the fields of the CH3, the CO2, ZNO, smelling, and going in the direction of to interact with the fields from the food to add to that everyone could bring. And interesting, it was after the teaching Mr. Keshe brought about water and the connection with the C14 and the calcium interaction with the interactions with the, let's say, the energy, higher energy of the calcium that becomes the carbon 12 that we have inside of us, and to keep the body working, our cells, whatever. And so I took many water fields, and I gave him many water fields to I felt it was just like raining inside the Spaceship Institute, or was just dripping a lot of water, in the feeling that I had that it's only water. So the water, it's the base key, and you have water, oxygen, and hydrogen in the whole universe. So if you can catch one, we have as well as many gases like sodium, metallic potassium, and as a gas in the universe and matter state. So we can maybe to catch one, another one, as we understand, so we can create something in different dimensions or in different levels. And the second week, interesting, because we were joined, and I just like we were talking, we were not just there, we were interacting with each other. I said, there is so many energy here, so many strength of food, of fields. So why don't we give it? If you allow it, all of us could give for all of the people that in this moment are starving, animals, plants without water, and everybody was just doing this. We were sharing all of this energy to everyone that were feeling hungry or dying for lack of food anywhere in the world, or even animals. It was an amazing experience, because I think we did a really amazing job in serving our planet. And I think in this direction, we can fulfill or give to the universal beings, or manifested or not, because they as well, they have their own energy, but they give. So they must receive as well to keep on. So we can interact with them, giving, receiving, and maybe you can get closer to the strength of their fields in such a way that they can as well decrease a little bit of their energy, so we can interact in a midpoint and the intermediate point. Because if you look, I'm here, Brazil. Someone is in Japan. Where's the midpoint between my intention and their intention? Where it interacts in the core of our planet, or maybe inside of our planet. So interact with our planet as well, and everyone creating a lot of free plasmas, and all interact, with the units. And I think it's amazing, powerful. And I think we, in my humble view, that we made a great job to, as Mr. Keshe gave us this gift, we gave this gift to so many people that were in need. And I think we could elevate this many souls, and for free, not expect anything back. And this is I would like to to bring. That's very powerful. And the next time with the leaders, we have already gone to the prophets. So the leaders, political leaders or religion leaders that always, let's say, in the connection with this political leader, we have always, as Mr. Keshe taught us, that we have religious leader, but we have already connected with the boss of them. I think we can make a very nice interaction with this leader in direction of balancing and giving, and they can take whatever they need to balance within their time, so we can help in this peace process of peace of mind. It's another teaching of Mr. Keshe, that the peace, when you sign the peace treaty, we are joining the peace with ourselves. And if you are in peace with ourselves, we can share this peace of mind, so we can improve the whole humanity, maybe. That's just a point. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't want to talk so much, but sometimes I must develop the thoughts to rationalize. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's always an honor to be with you all.
Good input. Thank you, Jefferson. Anybody else have something they'd like to say at this point? Well, any other testimonials to share? Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? All right, well, I would like to bring it to a close here, because we've gone on quite a while, 3.5 hours, a little longer than usual in these testimonial workshops, but it was really, really good input from everyone. We had some great testimonials of the plasma technology and some pointers of where to go and how to approach things from here on out as well. Well, thank you all for being here for today's workshop. The 76th public meeting for testimonials here on Monday, March 13th, 2023. Our next public teaching workshop is the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group, which will be tomorrow, Tuesday, March 14th, starting at 7 a.m. Central European Time, which is the same as 11 p.m. Pacific Time tonight on Monday. It usually would be at 10 o'clock Pacific, but since we had our time change in the Western world here, they've put us an hour ahead, so it's at 11 p.m., not 10 p.m. for Pacific, and those in North America have to be an hour ahead of the usual time. Okay, and what else can we mention? You can apply for the next meeting with the in Linz, Austria, with Mr. Keshe and the flight technology, and that'll be meeting with the world leaders. You're elevating the souls of the world leaders, actually. And I think that's on the, was it the 23rd?
24th, I think,
24th, maybe, yes. Yeah, Friday the 24th of March, which is coming up faster than we can imagine. So that's something to consider if you haven't tried it before, and People are getting some pretty amazing experiences out of it. I know I am. So it's highly recommended if you can afford it, and even if you can't, maybe it'll make enough of a change in your life that you can afford it later. Maybe you can afford many things after that. Find new prosperity in your life even. Who knows? Anything's possible with the plasma technology, I'm convinced. Alright everybody, I'm going to end it now. Let me see, let's go out with maybe with the flight unit music version, as we have come to know and love. And we'll see you all next time around. Bye for now.